Hey guys, welcome back to math. We're on lesson 12, more line plots. Woo, 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 woo. I love line plots, I love line plots. We have today a picture of Sophia, David, and Kaylin reading at the library. Remember how fun that field trip was? And I found this cute little cereal box. Math is delicious. Let's get started. All right, I'm going to do one line plot with you, 5 questions, then you're going to do a line plot, then you're going to be ready to debrief at our meeting. All right, so let's look at our line plot. First thing we need to do is read the title. Up at the top, it says Gabe likes to collect bugs and he records their measurements in his scientific journal. Use the line plot to answer the questions below. All right, now the first thing I notice about this line plot is there's a lot of missing fractions or mixed numbers on this line plot. There's not, the only thing I see is 0, 1, and 2. What happened to all the other measurements? Oh, they didn't put them on there for us. They wanted to make it more difficult. So we got to figure out what these measurements are, right? Well, the first thing we need to do is how many equal spaces are between the whole numbers. So between the 0 and the 1, how many equal spaces are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 equal spaces between the 0 and the 1. So that means we are working with eighths. What are we working with? Eighths. And if you count between the 1 and the 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's also 8 equal pieces. So we are working with eighths. So if this is 0, then that would mean that this is 1/8. Count. This would be 2/8. Count. 3/8. 4/8. And you know what? I'm going to mark that one, because that's an important one, because it's also equivalent to what? A half. Okay, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8, which is equivalent to 1 whole. Okay, now this would be 1 and 1/8. 1 and 2/8, 1 and 3/8, 1 and 4/8, 1 and 5/8, 1 and 6/8, 1 and 7/8, and 1 and 8/8, or 2 wholes, 1 and 8/8, which we know that would make 2. Okay, now you may say, well, Miss Mendez, 8/8, why isn't this 9/8? It could be 9/8. 9/8 is the improper fraction that is equivalent to that mixed number, but you're not going to see 9/8. You're going to see 1 whole and 1/8, because it's the length of the insects in inches is 1 inch and 1/8 of another inch. All right, let's look at our questions. When you go to do the line plot on your own in a minute, you need to go through and you need to figure out how many spaces are you dealing with. You need to go through and count them. 1/8, 2/8, and it might not be eighths. Actually, I don't think it's eighths, the next line plot. It's something different. But you have to take that step before you start answering the questions. Okay, what insect length is the most common? We're just looking for the one with the most X's. Okay? There's nothing underneath of it. We did just count it off, so let's just count it off again. 1 and 1/8, 1 and 2/8, 1 and 3/8. I'm pausing because I'm wanting you to say it. 1 and 4/8, 1 and 5/8. 1 and 5/8 is the most common. Most common means it has the most X's above it. It happened the most. 4 insects measured 1 and 5/8 inches. How many insects are in Gabe's collection? Well, all we got to do for this one is count the X's. I'll give you a second so you can count the X's. And I hope you came up with 20. Ah ha ha ha, tricked you. It's not 20. I was going to see if you were paying attention. It's not 20. What is it? 21. All right, what is the difference? Keyword. It means to subtract between the longest and the shortest insect. All right, so where's our longest insect? Our longest insect is the farthest to the right. Our longest insect is here. So if we know that this is 1 8/8, then this must be 1 7/8. I'm just counting backwards. Or you could count forwards from 1/8 if you wanted to. Okay, so this is 1 7/8. All right, what's my shortest insect? Well, here's my 1/8. No insects measured 1/8, so I go to my 2/8. 1 7/8 minus 2/8. All right, so that's easy. 7/8 minus 2/8 gives me 5/8, and then 1 minus nothing underneath of it is 1. 1 5/8. Okay. How many, by the way, you should have this equation written, and when we debrief, you should have it ready to go over. How many insects measure 1.5 inches? All right, remember earlier I said that was important. Actually, no, I'm sorry, 1.5. This is just a half. We need 1.5. So we need to go to the whole number 1 and then a half. So we need 4/8. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. So this is 1 4/8. Or 1.5. Okay, so how many insects? 2. All right, what is the length of the shortest insect? Well, we found that out earlier because we needed the shortest insect when we wrote this equation. It's right here. If this is 1/8, then this is 2/8. All right, let's see what your independent work is. All right, here is your line plot for your independent work. Now, the very first thing you want to do is count the equal pieces between the 0 and the 1, because that will tell you what you're working with. Are you working with 8ths, 10ths, 12ths? What are you working with? Okay? If you need to rewind, remember, good mathematicians, guys, if I was you, I would be rewinding videos. You know, if I get to a question, I forget how my teacher answered it, I can rewind the video and look back at how she answered the question and then proceed. Okay, make sure you have pencil and paper. This is the one we are going to go over during our class meeting, so be ready. Okay, make sure you find those halves, because those are always important. Okay, I would pause the video here so that you can answer the questions, and I'll see you in class.